Would you like to see an established exotic garden reinvent itself? Well, this gardening series is for you, as this year in 2025 I've been doing lots of changes to my garden, and in this particular episode we're concentrating on those paths, reinventing how we walk through the end of the garden. Now, if you've been watching the previous episodes in this series, you've probably seen me talk a lot but probably not do that much. But in this episode, you'll definitely see me do lots of sawing, lots of digging, and dancing with a tree fern. So the time has come that I need to take off these lower branches of this beautiful eucalyptus tree with its gorgeous, gorgeous bark. And actually, eucalyptus trees do shed lower branches and some upper branches from time to time, particularly after dry, extended dry periods. But this one here is only got a bit of life at the end of it, and it's already starting to detach a little down here. So this one will be cut off. This one will be cut off, which has quite a bit of life in it, but again, it's in the way, because if you remember, the path will be from here moving forward, so all this needs to move, as well as some of the tree ferns. And when you're taking off any branches, you want to do an undercut to begin with, and then cut from the top down. You do the undercut so you don't snag and get a tear of bark and tissue underneath that can infect the plant if it's open for too long. So you want a nice clean cut underneath, and then cut from top down so it falls away nicely. So we'll just go in and do that. So I've got a saw which I've cleaned, and go quite close to the main trunk and just start cutting. And I'm doing it parallel to the main trunk. So that should be enough for the undercut, and then I'm going to go from the top and then just cut, and be mindful I've got another branch over there that might be in the way of the saw, so it might not be straightforward, but we'll do a nice clean cut, hopefully, going down parallel to the trunk, which is slightly slanted in this case. And this branch, it's not too thick, it's about 6-7 centimeters, something like that. There we go. We cut that off, got a nice clean cut there. So we've got no tears coming down, so that's perfect. And with that one down, it's time to take down the bigger branch just behind. Do it in exactly the same way. So we'll do an undercut first, close and parallel to the trunk. And this is a more substantial branch. So just get that going through a bit more. That should be enough, about a quarter of the way through. And then come down from the top. That's going to fall soon, but let's see where it's going to fall. It should miss all the tree ferns, so I think we're good to go. There we go. Branches down, opens up this area apart from the tree ferns, so we can continue a path round, and that's the plan. So I wasn't going to move this double tree fern until it finished flushing, so it didn't set it back too much, but I was a bit too eager, and I've now pushed it, cut round the base with my root slayer, and so I've pushed it over so it's loose in the ground now, and it's ready to flip over from this position just to here so that the path can continue down the garden. So I'm just going to slip this over, slide it over into its new position and water it really well. So I've moved the double tree fern to this new location, and we'll look at that in more detail once I finish moving the other one. But what I wanted to point out right now is how dry the soil is, but also, unfortunately, how bereft of life it is. So this is where the tree fern was. You can see under there you've got the eucalyptus roots, but it's so dry. All this here is literally powder dry. You can see all the roots of the tree fern as well, solid mass here. But this area underneath is just, well, there's no life in it. There's no worms, can't see much going on there. So it looks like the tree ferns has been supported, obviously trying to get water from the ground, but it's been the water giving it above ground that's really done the most for keeping the tree fern alive all these years, because there's just nothing at all in this ground. And that's partly because obviously it was imported topsoil 8-9 years ago when I built this area, and it's just not really got the growth of, you know, microorganisms in there, and then the bigger organisms feeding off those. So that is something I'm going to have to think about in terms of adding more organic material to this soil, because this is very barren soil, unfortunately. So I will be adding more compost to this area when we do finish it off. So that's what the soil looks like. That's with one tree fern in its new location. Now I've got to move this beautiful double header so it can really open up this area and make space for my new path. And now it's been toppled over. I can get it out of that hole and just drag it to where I need it. And you can see, although this was watered a lot last night, it is pretty much bone dry, all this. These roots, this one I don't think is a tree fern root, it's too thick. That's more than likely a eucalyptus root that's growing in and up into there. And I've hit it over, or pulled it, pushed it over, manhandled it. I'm just gonna slip it over there, which is easier said than done, because it does weigh a lot, especially with all this soil. But we'll get it over and we'll position it and we'll see how best it looks. Turn it around, because it's got two heads on this one, so it'll have a good side and a bad side. But because of where it's going to be situated, it needs to look good all the way around, because we'll be walking all the way around it. So I'll have fun sort of position it in its new planting hole just over there. Have a look. Look. What do we think? Does that look good? Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Now this shot is completely unrelated to the topic of this video because it's got nothing to do with redesigning my garden, but I just want to show off my gunnerer because it's pretty big already and it's not quite June yet. This is well over 2 meters tall and it's been the driest spring on record, and I've watered this twice. And this is an example of the right plants in the right place. It is an area of the garden where the ground doesn't dry out too quickly, and I've incorporated lots of manure, lots of heavy loam into there. It's on a clay garden and there's some plastic underlay as well under part of the root ball to hold that water in dry periods. So that's why this plant has grown so well. Right, back to the main topic of this video. So now that we have the tree ferns out of the way, I can actually get on with digging and making the paths. But the first thing we need to do is actually dig a specially deep trench for the bamboo barrier, moving boulders and concrete out the way and making it nice and deep so any of the bamboos can't get through into the path. So this is why I'm digging such a deep trench before I actually lay the gravel or lay the MOT base to make the path. So this was quite a hard job. Lots of digging, but it's needed to be done to stop the bamboo getting through. Just checking there to see if it's deep enough and carrying on digging and digging and digging. So that's the trench pretty much dug out. It's pretty deep, it's about 50 centimeters deep, something like that. I've done it from this edge going all the way down to that bootia over there, and it's to hold back these pretty vigorous phallus, stachys, iridescens, prominens, and this auriculis here. So it should hold it back. It's not perfect. There's no bamboo barrier in this section because I didn't put it in before this path, but the most vigorous one is the iridescens you can see coming out here, so it should hold it back. Now the actual bamboo barrier I'm using, this one's 45 centimeters deep, and the trench, like I said, is about that. But the actual barrier that I bought is I thought I bought the same one. It's actually a lot taller, so I'll have to cut it back. This is 65 centimeters. It will be sticking out when I put it in here, but then I'll just trim it back. You do want to leave a bit sticking out, proud, but it'll be sticking out quite a long way. I'm not going down 65 centimeters. That's just very deep. I don't think it needs that. So we will be putting that in now as it's starting to drizzle, which is a bit ironic because the ground is so dry. I've been trying to dig this out and it's just like dust falling back in the trench from the side here, and very hard to dig through, as you've been seeing in my little time-lapse bit. But I'll probably go down I might go down another 5 centimeters, see how I feel, and then get this in ready to backfill with all this earth, and then we can dig out this and get ready to put the hardcore down before the path. So I've gone down a bit deeper down the trench and I've come across a lot of this black stuff. This is coal. So I'm on the coal seams here in West Yorkshire. Coal mining is part of the heritage of this area, lots of pits over the years. And the coal mining museum is just a few miles away from here. And this is found all the way down my trench that I've been digging down just for the bamboo barrier between the soil and the clay and the shale. And I've gone down, like I said, about good 50 centimeters now. I think that should be enough for the bamboo not to go down deeper than all the way there. In the frame there you can see the beautiful Chandescantia maiden's blush that miraculously stayed in leaf in part through winter and has been pushing up new growth over the last month or two. So that's a beautiful evergreen ground cover plant, doesn't mind this dry conditions at all. So that hopefully it will spread and do better and better, because that was a tiny cutting just a year or two back. It's nearly time to put the bamboo barrier down. But whilst I'm sitting here, I'll just show you the beautiful and very rare Trachycarpus aureophyllus with its huge trunk now and leaves up there. It's about, well over 2 meters of trunk, about 2.5, getting close to 3 meters of trunk. It's really, really fast growing palm. Probably the fastest Trachycarpus I've got in the garden and the rarest. Beautiful plant. And what's been keeping me company over the last few hours while I've been doing this is the birds. And just over there, it's got a normal fence. It's been covered in ivy, and I was going to cut back the ivy, but actually growing over the fence is so much ivy, but in there is a nest of birds. I think we've got wrens, robins and thrushes. I think it's a wren's nest just there, and they've been busily feeding the chicks that are just in the ivy just over there. So I'm not going to cut that back at all while there's birds nesting in the ivy. That's something to be mindful of. If you've got ivy on your fences and walls, it's really good for nature, although it is a bit invasive. So it's time to get the barrier in and then cover up all my hard work, never to be seen again. So this is a path I did in 2023, 2 years ago, and you can see I did a really generous depth of sub-base of MOT part of MOT1. It's about 25-30 centimetres in places, with about 5 centimetres of gravel on top. And the path that's going to continue here, I've just used up all these old flagstones that were here when we moved in underneath the greenhouses. So rather than using loads of MOT, I've used up this first. Had a bit of a solid structure. The MOT will go over this, tamp down several times, make it nice and compact before the gravel goes in. And this is, well, it's too deep here. I've done it really, really deep. It's a good 30 centimetres deep everywhere. So it'll be a very, very solid path. So if I ever want to in the future get rid of the gravel, I could brick over it, something like that. It's such a solid foundation. Now we've got most of the gravel laid, well, at least the first major layer, which is about 10 centimetres deep, and you can't just lay it and then put gravel on top. You've actually got to compact this down. The whole point is to get a nice, stable, hard base. So I've wet this down because it's been so dry, and then the next stage is to get a tamp, which is like a weight on a long pole. Basically just go over it again and over it again, just tamping down like this. Now you can use a whacker plate, which would be a lot quicker and a lot easier, but I just have this tool and I'm a glutton for punishment, and I'm just going to go over this, get a bit of a bicep and tricep workout, and just pound away over the ground all around this path area, and then it will see how level it is, and where needed I will top up with more gravel, with more MOT base, should I say. And I know I'll need more because it's pretty high over there. I've filled in lots of the dips here, but I know to keep it nice and level I'll need to add more as we go around. So I'll be doing this for quite a long time, and then we can add more MOT base. Right, I think that's enough of the hard landscaping for one day, or 3 days as it's actually been, to record this video. Let's have a look what all that hard work has made to the changes in the garden. So let's go and see how much work I've done. Go from the old path and where the new path is, and it's going past the bootia to the right, past the bamboos to the left, and now, as you can see, really opened up this area by moving those tree ferns. And you can see how it goes round. We come to this position, and here got a big open space where my pavilion or raised area will be. Bit of a mess at the moment still, but you can see we've got space there to work with. And then the path picks up here, and it goes back up towards the arid part of the garden, up to here. So yes, that's the work I've done. And I want to talk to you about the actual planting we're going to have here and how I think it's going to work. So where we've got the open area here at the front, we used to have a path obviously coming across here, and this is a very dry sunny area. So in this area I'm going to put some more arid plants, so they will go down here in this spot. Free draining, it's full sun as you can see, so we can have some more yuccas and things like that in this area, which will set off the palms very nicely. But then we transition to a more shady area, so as we come down here we'll have some more shade tolerant plants. And also, as we've seen, it's pretty dry here because of the eucalyptus trees, so they need to be drought tolerant as well. So it's quite a difficult mix, but I'm sure we'll find some nice plants. And as we just stand here, you can see how the tree ferns look. So there were obviously where that path was there, but now we've got the tree ferns in this location. And yes, the one on the left is a bit congested with the palm tree, but in time, that palm tree, give it 3 or 4 years, the trunk will be much higher than the tree fern. It'll be sort of up in that area near the tetrapanax there, and it will allow the tree fern to be underneath the Trachycarpus palm tree and look pretty good. And I like the way I can see the double headers really well here from this view, and this is where I'll be having a seating area where I am currently stood. So this will be my view in this direction. I'll have the view back down the garden, up the garden here, which will be towards the arid garden. And then as we turn around, obviously we've got the path here, which will be coming down. Got the beautiful tree fern unfurling just there. And then if we pan round once more, we get to the open fields behind where we get the occasional cows coming across the fence, up to the fence there. So we've got that wonderful view there. So that's sort of the look of this area and how the different views will be. Now I've still got lots of, things I need to do. Like we said, we've got to get these paths finished, got to get them level, got to get the edging, and the edging to be the same as obviously the cotton steel up there. It's been out of stock for a few weeks now, so I've got the choice of either waiting for it to come in stock or getting the same cotton steel edging but in a thinner grade, so it'll be easier to bend round corners and things, but it won't be the same exact thickness. It'll be a bit more flimsy. I think I'm going to wait for the same material to come in stock so we can finish it off looking exactly the same, which will be really good. And for those that have done this sort of projects before, you're probably thinking I've made a pretty big error, which is I've started the path or the edging in 2 places. And how am I going to get those edges to meet? Because it's going to run from over here, and I need to meet in the middle. And how? Because these are a metre in length. How am I going to get them to exactly meet? Well, I've thought about that, and the answer is I'm not going to get them to meet. So if I just stand here, you can see both edges of the path in shot there. And what I'm going to do is basically finish the edges just where the edge of the gravel is on both sides here. And then we're going to have a raised, slightly raised sort of decking path going across this area in front of the raised area where I'm standing now, where the sort of pavilion will be. And in front of that, in this tiny area where the sledgehammer is, I'm thinking I might even add a water feature. So let me know what you think of those ideas. And if you've got any suggestions for exotic, evergreen, drought-tolerant plants, please put them in the comments below. I'll be really interested to hear of your suggestions. Things that will look good under the tree ferns, under the eucalyptus in this area. They need to be drought tolerant, they need to be shade tolerant, and ideally, I want evergreen plants that can look good all year round in this area. Now, we've got the wonderful eucalyptus tree here, and I'll just put up on screen what this looked like 10 years ago, and you can see how much it's grown. And when we go into the base, let me just take you down here, you can see that we've actually got an issue where we had it planted a bit lower, and then we've raised the levels up, and I put some wood, a wooden square border around it at that time, a very thin trunk, so that it was growing at the lower level without soil getting right to the trunk and burying it a bit. But over the years, the trunk has got wider and wider, pushed this frame out, and now I'm going to have to sort of dig back the soil a little bit. So let's just come around here, and I'll show you what I mean. So here you can see this frame is coming away, it's been pushed away, and it's rotted as well. And I need to sort of get around there, dig around there a little bit to make sure that not too much of the trunk is below the soil level. I think it should be okay, but I'll just uncover a bit there and see what we're dealing with. So one issue I've got, or did have, for when I was putting this MOT sub-base in this particular area is to dig out this area. I've had to go through a lot of roots, and I've had to dig up loads of eucalyptus roots from this area. And I think the tree will be fine, because although it was a lot of roots, there'll be lots of roots going in all directions for the eucalyptus tree. But unfortunately, it's on the side where I want, obviously, the tree to be anchored, because the wind is coming in from left to right and pushing the tree over that way. So having loads of roots on this side, anchoring it in, is a good thing. Obviously, I've severed quite a lot of them to get this path to go around here, but I think hopefully it will be okay. Another thing I need to do is work on this area. I've still got a sort of a decent area. That's about 1.8 by 1.8 meters of decking still to take out. And once I've taken that out, I will fill that with some lovely topsoil, which are in those bags over there. So that will fill that area. And again, we want some nice drought tolerant plants to come in this area and be planted. We've got the wonderful Fatsia. I was going to sort of chop all this back, but I think I might leave it. I was going to chop it back because it's coming out so far. I want it to grow up so I can plant under here, but I think it might work well like this and sort of underplant it. So let me know what you think about that. And then we've got to think about what we're going to actually build here, how we're going to build it, what materials I'm going to use, and what it's going to look like. I've got a sort of an image in my head of what I want to achieve. The space is about 3 by 3 meters, or well, 4 by 3.5 meters. So that's the sort of space I've got to deal with. So I want some sort of structure, seating area in here, and a path going across. This is just another viewpoint of the tree ferns that we've moved. I think they look good. I think they'll establish well in this area, keeping water in them really, really well, because they are unfurling new leaves, and transplanting them like I've just done is not ideal at this time of year. but I needed it so that I could get my path to go through here. And I think it looks well from this angle. And we've got lots of open space here in the middle, which I said we'll be planting, but I might do some other things in here as well. So if you've got any ideas, let me know. As we move through, we get to the arid section of the garden, which is looking pretty good with the Brea and Marta, the Garvin Montanas, and the Chemrops in various guises in frames, Serifera Volcano, and Humulus in the background there. So that's the progress we've got so far in the end of the garden. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, maybe take away a few tips of how I've created paths and how you might do something similar in your garden. Obviously, I appreciate I'm nowhere near completing the hard landscape in here. I've still got the actual gravel and the edges to do, and that'll be in upcoming videos. But I think I've done a really good start of getting the flow around here, moving those tree ferns and doing lots of heavy lifting. So thank you for watching this edition Exotic Garden UK. Join me next time where I'll be doing more in the garden.